The call came in on a crisp autumn morning, the kind where the air is sharp and the leaves crunch underfoot. A hiker, drawn off the beaten path by an inexplicable urge, stumbled upon something unsettling, something that would haunt their dreams. It wasn't a body, not at first glance. Instead, it was a collection of items that seemed out of place, almost deliberately arranged. It was a scene, a tableau of forgotten lives, each item telling a silent story of its own. Deep in the woods, miles from the nearest town, lay a scattering of personal effects, as if a group of people had simply vanished into thin air. Backpacks, tattered clothing, photographs faded with time, all abandoned, as if their owners had left in a hurry, never to return. This was no ordinary lost and found. It was a graveyard of memories, a place where time stood still. This was the first chilling clue in what would become a mystery for the ages, a puzzle that would baffle even the most seasoned investigators. The location was as remote as it was foreboding, a place where few dared to venture. Towering pines stood sentinel, their branches heavy with secrets, casting long shadows that seemed to whisper of hidden truths. The air was thick with the smell of damp earth, and the silence was almost deafening, broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves. It was the kind of place that whispered of things unseen, of stories untold, a place where the past lingered just out of reach. The items themselves were mundane yet deeply personal. A worn teddy bear, a high school yearbook, a half-written letter home, each one a poignant reminder of a life interrupted. Each object a fragment of a life interrupted, a story left unfinished, a mystery waiting to be solved. Local authorities, accustomed to the occasional lost hiker or the odd wildlife encounter, were immediately uneasy. This was different. The air was thick with an unspoken tension, a sense that something far more sinister was at play. The sheer volume of personal effects was unsettling. Backpacks, shoes, and even children's toys lay scattered, as if dropped in a sudden, frantic escape. There was a sense of wrongness, a palpable feeling that something terrible had happened here. The fog clung to the trees, adding to the eerie atmosphere, making every shadow seem like a lurking threat. The woods held their breath, waiting for the truth to be revealed. The silence was deafening, broken only by the occasional call of a distant bird or the rustle of leaves in the wind. The items were carefully collected, each one bagged and tagged, their locations meticulously documented. Every piece of evidence was a potential clue, a fragment of a larger, darker puzzle. A grid search was initiated, expanding outward from the initial discovery site. The methodical process was slow but necessary, ensuring that no stone was left unturned. Volunteers joined the ranks of law enforcement, their faces grim as they combed through the dense undergrowth. These were members of the community, people who knew the missing, driven by a desperate need to find answers. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig, sent a jolt of adrenaline through the search party, a mixture of hope and dread. They moved with a heightened sense of awareness, knowing that each step could bring them closer to a grim discovery or a glimmer of hope. As news of the discovery spread, a chill settled over the small town. The items, laid out on tables at the local police station, were a haunting reminder of the town's own unsolved mysteries. Whispers turned to hushed conversations as people gathered, their faces etched with a mixture of curiosity and fear. Over the past 15 years, the town had seen its share of disappearances. Young and old, locals and out-of-towners, all vanished without a trace. Each case had left a gaping wound in the community, a constant reminder of the fragility of life. Now, with each passing hour, the grim possibility arose that these scattered belongings were linked to those long cold cases. The discovery hit particularly close to home for families who had lost loved ones. The pain of their absence was a constant shadow, a reminder of the fragility of life and the cruelty of fate. The years had not dulled the pain, only sharpened the edges of their grief. Each photograph, each memory, was a bittersweet reminder of what had been lost and what could never be regained. Now, with renewed hope, came a surge of agonizing uncertainty. The community was on edge, torn between the desire for closure and the fear of reopening old wounds. Could this be the break they had been waiting for? The moment that would finally bring answers to the questions that had haunted them for so long? Or would it be another dead end? Another cruel twist of the knife? The fear of false hope was almost as unbearable as the grief itself. The local newspaper, usually filled with community events and high school sports scores, became a chronicle of the investigation. Each headline was dissected, each article scrutinized for any hint of progress. Every new detail, every theory, every dead end was pored over by anxious residents. Conversations in coffee shops, at community meetings, and around dinner tables were dominated by the latest developments. The town held its breath, caught between a desperate hope for answers and the fear of what those answers might reveal. The weight of uncertainty was a heavy burden, shared by all who called this place home. Section 5. The Unseen Hand. The investigation quickly escalated, drawing in resources from the state police and the FBI. The woods, once a place of tranquility and escape, were now transformed into a sprawling crime scene. Every inch of the area was scrutinized, every clue meticulously documented. The items themselves told a fragmented story. Clothing suggested a range of ages and backgrounds. A child's backpack lay next to a worn leather briefcase. A tattered prom dress hung from a tree branch, a stark contrast to the rugged hiking boots scattered nearby. Each object whispered a silent plea for answers. Section 6. Clues among the pines. Forensic specialists descended upon the scene, their movements precise and methodical. The woods became a grid of numbered flags, each one marking a piece of evidence. Luminol, sprayed across the forest floor, revealed the faintest traces of blood, invisible to the naked eye. The ground, once thought to be silent, began to tell its story. The DNA evidence was particularly perplexing. Initial analysis revealed a mix of profiles, some dating back years, others more recent. The sheer number of individuals involved was staggering. It was as if the woods themselves were a repository of lost souls, their stories intertwined in a macabre tapestry. Section 7. The DNA Trail. The investigation took a dramatic turn when DNA from several of the items matched those found at the scenes of other unsolved crimes. Not just in the local area, but across state lines. The discovery sent shockwaves through the investigation, widening the scope of the case exponentially. A dedicated task force was assembled, working around the clock to connect the dots. Leads poured in from across the country, each one offering a glimmer of hope, a potential piece of the puzzle. The investigators, fueled by adrenaline and a shared sense of purpose, pursued each lead with relentless determination. Section 8. A breakthrough? Weeks turned into months, and still the mystery deepened. The case, dubbed The Whispers in the Woods, became a national obsession. True crime podcasts dedicated entire seasons to dissecting the evidence. Amateur sleuths pored over maps and timelines, convinced they held the key to unlocking the truth. Then, a break in the case. A partial fingerprint, lifted from a faded photograph found at the scene, yielded a match. The print belonged to a drifter, known to frequent the area, with a history of petty crime and violence. Could this be the break they had been waiting for? Section 9. The silence continues. The suspect, however, remained elusive. He seemed to have vanished into thin air, leaving behind more questions than answers. The investigation, once a raging fire, seemed to sputter and fade. The woods, once teeming with investigators, fell silent once more. The families of the missing were left in a state of agonizing limbo. The discovery of the belongings had offered a flicker of hope, a chance to finally learn the fate of their loved ones. Now that hope seemed to be slipping away, replaced by a numbing sense of resignation. Section 10. A community holds its breath. Today, the mystery of the whispers in the woods remains unsolved. The items, carefully preserved as evidence, stand as a chilling reminder of the lives forever changed, the stories left untold. The woods, once a place of peace and solitude, are now forever marked by the secrets they hold. The investigation remains open, a testament to the unwavering dedication of those who refuse to let the truth fade with time. And so, the town waits, holds its breath, clinging to the hope that one day, the whispers in the woods will finally reveal their